Hello, this is Krystal, and thank you for joining me for this week's First Chapter Friday. Today I will be reading from the beginning of Brandon Sanderson's Tress of the Emerald Sea. Part 1, The Girl. In the middle of the ocean, there was a girl who lived upon a rock. This was not an ocean like the one you have imagined, nor was the rock like the one you have imagined. The girl, however, might be as you imagined, assuming you imagined her as thoughtful, soft-spoken, and overly fond of collecting cups. Men often describe the girl as having hair the color of wheat. Others called it the color of caramel or occasionally the color of honey. The girl wondered why men so often used food to describe women's features. There was a hunger to such men that was best avoided. In her estimation, light brown was sufficiently descriptive, though the hue of her hair was not its most interesting trait. That would be her hair's unruliness. Each morning she heroically tamed it with brush and comb, then muzzled it with a ribbon and a tight braid. Yet some strands always found a way to escape and would wave free in the wind, eagerly greeting everyone she passed. The girl had been given the unfortunate name of Glorf upon her birth. Don't judge, it was a family name. But her wild hair earned her the name everyone knew her by, Tress. That moniker was, in Tress's estimation, her most interesting feature. Tress had been raised to possess a certain inalienable pragmatism, such as a common failing among those who live on dour, lifeless islands, from which they can never leave. When you are greeted each day by a black stone landscape, it influences your perspective on life. The island was shaped rather like an old man's crooked finger, emerging from the ocean to point toward the horizon. It was made entirely of barren black saltstone, and was large enough to support a fair-sized town and a duke's mansion. The locals called the island the Rock. Its name on the maps was Diggin's Point. No one remembered who Diggin was anymore, but he had obviously been a clever fellow, for he left the rock soon after naming it and never returned. In the evenings, Tress would often sit on her family's porch and sip salty tea from one of her favorite cups, while looking out over the green ocean. Yes, I did say the ocean was green. Also, it was not wet. We're getting there. As the sun set, Tress would wonder about the people who visited the rock in their ships. Not that anyone in the right mind would deem the rock a tourist destination. The black saltstone was crumbly and got into everything. It also made most kinds of agriculture impossible, eventually tainting any soil brought from off the island. The only food the island grew came from compost vats. While the rock did have important wells that brought up water from a deep aquifer, something that visiting ships required, the equipment that worked the salt mines belched a constant stream of black smoke into the air. In summary, the atmosphere was dismal, the ground wretched, and the views depressing. Oh, and have I mentioned the deadly spurs? And if you would like to know what happens next, you can check this title out on the Libby app. Please join me here next week as I read from the beginning of the screenplay of Twister by Michael Crichton and Anne Marie Martin. Thank you and have a great week.